Jeez. This was something that I never thought ever existed, especially from a franchise I'm not a fan of, but this joke alone isn't really out of context. Mainly the fact of how HBO Max have been releasing shows constantly due to the COO. And believe me when I say this, I really had a difficult time thinking any positivity after watching this clip alone. Velma, which is another Scooby-Doo spin-off that had a joke with one of the characters saying, "Do you know what 420 means?" And then Velva says, "It means adults who still watch cartoons." And the sad thing is, this show, the spin-off Velma, is for adults. And it's animated. Knowing how 2022 was a really poor year when it comes to animation, mainly for television or streaming services, this was done at really poor timing. Let me just say this right now that I'm not a fan of Scooby-Doo. I used to watch it, but years later, I just couldn't get into it. But then when I saw tweets on Twitter involving this, well, Velma says 420 means adults who still watch cartoons. This is honestly really one of the worst moments in anything in animation, and by far the worst moment in animation for this year, and we just started. Let me tell you, if this is supposed to be a self-aware joke, all the while the show is getting popular by infamy, then I'm starting to get convinced that infamy seriously needs to be taken seriously of how the CEO is handling the streaming services due to the merger. Let me tell you, I need to address about the mergers when it comes to other companies. I understand that there's going to be sacrifices, and I am fully aware that they need space for the additional content when the COO purchased those contents. But whenever I see a joke like this, it really just breaks any hope and any passion. In all honesty, it just gives me anxiety whenever I think about negatives involving this. I understand you need to touch grass outside, and while you can, but when you come back and you see more negativity like this, it never goes away. It just never goes away. And for me personally, it really, it's not really insulting. It's really modeling our intelligence. It may be over exaggerating, but insulting intelligence is far beyond the point because we've been addressing this for months and months and months since the shows have been released from HBO Max. Especially since that Netflix had canceled shows like Inside Job, Dead Park, Paranormal, not really Dead, and Paranormal Park. And if Hilda ends up coming to an end after I made my first review of it last month, then this is one of the reasons why I'm really having a dreadful time being into any of the new stuff or getting into any old stuff. Not to mention binge watching, because I haven't been binge watching any cartoons for a while. In all honesty, I think there's a reason as to why I'm doing Cartoon Crisis 3 through the majority of this year, just to make sure my channel stays active in some sort. Because as of now, I'm doing fine with my schedules. I've been making multiple Loud House vs. Carson Contes videos. I'm starting to take one of my Patreon's requests once I watch the episodes of their choosing, And I'm gonna try to make as many Cartoon Crisis 3 videos as possible. I'm just gonna say this right now that what I have in store for this year, especially compared to last year, I'll try to make improvements, but at the same time, it's difficult to showcase positivity knowing how these things, I'm stating things when they're just instantly making things worse for all of us. I just couldn't. Believe me when I say this. I might consider reviewing one episode from Velma. Even if I'm not a fan of Scooby-Doo, I can instantly tell that if I at least waited long enough to find one episode that is considered the worst out of the bunch, I'll consider doing the Cartoon Crisis 3 video, because in all honesty, even if I'm not a fan of Scooby-Doo, at least I know it's not like this. Like, Scooby-Doo had been around for so many decades in the same style as SpongeBob, but at the same time, I can understand onto why people have been coming back to that franchise multiple times, regardless if there were multiple shows and even spin-offs. But when it comes to this, when it's being catered to an adult audience, it's not really doing a good job. Like, this is basically an indication on if you take a popular franchise and just make it an adult show, it won't even work. In all honesty, it's a perfect indication that if you have something that is old and you just turn it into an adult cartoon, and when you have jokes like this, it just really just ruins your entire show. And that's not saying the fact that they just include an underage girl completely nude in the show. Like, at this point, I understand it's animation, but judging of how the animation industry has been when it comes to streaming services, it's really impossible to ignore any of these. It's impossible, because it's really that important. And I don't even think I'm ever going to get into any shows or any positivity since this year has already started. Like, the only plans I have possibly is going to see the Super Mario Brothers movie if my brothers or parents are interested into watching that, because in all honesty, that's literally the only thing I can think of when it comes to doing something interesting for this year. Let me tell you, I just think this show alone is gonna be a lot more worse as more episodes premiere on HBO Max, which is really saying a lot. I just think at this point that even if I did watch one episode from the show and just made my critique of it right away, I don't even think I really need to wait the entire season to be out, knowing full well that infamy is basically what the CEO wants, if that's really the case. I'm being really honest that if shows end up coming to an end quickly after 2 seasons, then there's literally no hope or any interest in me into watching those shows for how they're being mistreated. I mean, no disrespect towards the people who worked on those shows, but if it's not gaining the respect or the attention, then I can't be able to do anything about it. That's how much that what I'm doing involving my schedules right now is literally the only way to keep going when it comes to my YouTube schedule. Like, there is probably another chance that I'm going to be taking another month off of YouTube in order to take a break. Especially since I didn't write any fanfics as of late. The negativity isn't like the negativity where people need to touch grass. It's the negativity that just pushes you down to the ground, unable to get up. And in all honesty, that's what really kills hope in animation. Not to mention passion.